Let's see, depopulation. Yeah, there are some people who would like to reduce the population of the planet. If you go outside the city of Atlanta, go east about 60 or 70 miles to the town of Elberton, and then go north on Highway 77 about 10 miles, you'll find off to the right what's called the Georgia Guidestones. It looks kind of like Stonehenge, these big, huge granite rocks set up there. This was done by a guy, we have a pseudonym, came in, paid cash, had this company set these things up in 1980. He called himself R.C. Christian, but that's not his real name. It says it right on the stones, a pseudonym, false name. On these Georgia Guidestones, it gives the 10 Commandments for the New World Order. 10 Commandments for the New World Order. The first commandment was to maintain humanity under 500 million. I went there and looked at those things and said, now, hold on a minute. Today's population is 6 billion. They want to maintain humanity under 1/2 billion. Looks like a lot of people got to die for their plan to work, which is, by the way, the plan. Jacques Cousteau said we'd have to eliminate 350,000 people a day. 1/3 of a million people a day would have to be eliminated to save Mother Earth. Bill Clinton said we need to reduce the population of the earth to 1 billion. There are a lot of folks who would like to reduce the population of the earth. The Bible command is quite the opposite. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. You know, God said, go fill it, have a bunch of kids. The Bible says he designed it to be inhabited. So no, it's absolutely the opposite of what God wants. How does Margaret Sanger tie into overpopulation and this whole propaganda? Well, Margaret Sanger was a tragic individual. She believed in, reducing the population of the earth using birth control, using homosexuality, using just about anything other than doing what God commanded, to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So Margaret Sanger started a group called the Planned Parenthood, which many people have heard of. They are one of the key people today in the abortion industry. I mean, absolutely murdering. Nearly 5,000 people a day are being murdered by abortion. So Margaret Sanger, we have her largely to thank for that. Other factors, of course, are involved too. But yeah, it's really sad. I'm sure she's going to answer to God for what she's done with her teaching. She taught that inferior races like blacks and Jews and Hispanics really need to be eliminated. She wanted to set up her birth control clinics in these lower class neighborhoods, people that she thought didn't deserve to live, and slowly, get them sterilized, or, she was really involved in the eugenics movement, which became very unpopular by World War II because Hitler took the obvious conclusion. Hitler was the ultimate evolutionist. I mean, if evolution's true, then you find the superior race. Hitler thought, of course, was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans or Norwegians, and said they're the superior race, so everybody else should be really slowly executed, starting with the Jews, and then you had blacks, and on and on and on. Yeah, Margaret Sanger is a tragic person in history, and what she did is much worse than Adolf Hitler. Hitler only killed like 6 million. Margaret Sanger and her type with the abortion industry are responsible for killing 1,000 million. That's 1 billion people.
Over 26 billion tons For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. So this is a wish. It's a very concrete wish that we invent this technology. If you gave me only one wish for the next 50 years, I can pick who's president, I can pick a vaccine, which is something I love, or I could pick that this thing that's half the cost with no CO2 gets invented. This is the wish I would pick.